Today we got a 2007 Toyota Tacoma with a bad thermostat water bypass pipe. So we're going to be pulling the intake out, showing you how to replace that, and showing you how to fix it right. Alright, so first thing we're going to get off is this box on top. You got some hose clamps right here. You're going to use a Phillips or a 10mm. And then we're going to be unhooking the fuel lines. Make sure you unhook the battery just so your buddy don't get in there starting it up, trying to listen to the radio or something. But so I got that unhooked, and I think there's a bolt in the transmission dipstick's gonna have to come out, and a few hundred wires, but we'll get her done. Alrighty. Oh yeah, there's also a wire plugged up on the back. You got 10mm here, 10 there, hose clamp. And back here we got a sensor plugged out, and then we got a crankcase vent blow by hose. Get that out, and then one more 10mm bolt back here on the back side. Pull that one out. And we should be able to get that hose off. There's another vacuum hose hooked up on the bottom of that sensor. And then your wires are kind of clipped on. Then you got one vacuum line here that goes to the fuel pressure regulator. And then get that. Alright, now step 3, we got your gas tank vent. It's going here, so just get your hoses off. You got that, and then back here you got your fuel lines return, and the ones coming up here. So you can pull these plastic clips, red things off. It shouldn't be too bad to get off. It should come off like that right there. And then there's 2 boxes on each side. You just want to squeeze in on those, and it'll come off like that. And then just pull these back out the way. Watch your eyes, because there might be gas spraying out of there. So get them off, and we'll move on from there. Alright, so next we got our master brake cylinder line right here. Vacuum, we can pull that off. Just fold it back over here out of your way. And then we can go ahead and unplug the throttle body. Unplug this purge solenoid here. And then also remember to make sure there's no pressure in the cooling system. Take the cap off, drain it, whatever you want to do, because you are going to be pulling the heater hose lines off, and there's water lines right here that pump hot coolant through the throttle body, and if it's got pressure, it will most likely burn you real bad if you pull it off while it's under pressure. So just do that safely. And we got a 12mm down here in that transmission dipstick to get out, and there's a 10mm here on this clip that's holding these wires to the intake. So I'll get them pulled out real fast. Okay, so if you follow this transmission dipstick down there, there's another 12mm bolt right over where the starter is. You got to pull it out, and then you can grab this stick and wiggle it, and it'll unplug in half right there about middle ways, because it's going to have to be out of the way to get the intake over out of here. So I'll get that next bolt out down there. Alright, so I got that transmission stick out. Oh, I'm talking to my camera. So I got that transmission stick out down there. And right here we got them two water lines I was talking about that go to the throttle body. So I'm gonna take and pull these little clamps off with some needle nose up under there. And then I'll grab them with these pliers, pull it off like that right there, then get behind this one over here, slide it off, get them over out the way. And then next I'll probably pull these heater hoses off right here. Alright, so right here on these heater hoses, you can either take that bolt out right there, or it's a little plastic tab you pull, slide it off like that. And wherever they run back in there, we'll get to them in a minute. Now I'm gonna undo my intake bolts. So if you look, move this wiring harness, there's a nut there, and there's a bolt down to this hole, and they kind of zigzag back and forth across it. I don't know how many there is right now, but I'm gonna get my extension and a 12 and start jerking them out. There may just be 4 in there if I'm lucky, but I'll get them out and see. Alright, so if you come down here under the fender, let's see if I can get a shot for you. Under the base of the intake, about right there, if you look on both sides, there's a 12mm bolt. One right kind of behind the starter, and then one over here. You got to get them 2 bolts out before the intake will come off. So let me get something and get them out of there. Alright, so I got them bolts out of the bottom of the intake. I went in and pulled the nuts and bolts out of this. I gotta pick it up, and there's a bolt hidden right there behind that throttle body. You got to get out because the intake won't come off with that bolt in there. So make sure you pull it out. So I got that bolt pulled out, and I pushed them hoses back, and I was able to turn the intake sideways, and I believe I can grab it and pick it right up out of here like that. So there's the intake. Right here is the plastic pipe where you're going to replace. It's got 2 bolts over there. It runs over here, ties in that small line in your heater hose. So we're going to be replacing it and the intake gasket, and we're going back with a metal replacement part. So if anybody needs to get one, here's the Dorman information, because they're kind of hard to look up. And here's the intake gasket, the Flex Pro. So we'll get that put in there and get her put back together. So you want to come over here with your needle nose, grab that heater hose clamp, or maybe pliers will work too. Yeah, I might get some pliers. Yep, got some pliers. Grab that thing. It's easy if you grab the back, spin it a little bit. Get it slid back, and then so then you might have to take your finger and spin it around. Get a hold of it and slide it up. And then you got right here, there's 2 12mm bolts we got to get out. And I believe there is a bolt back here holding this T to the bell housing, or to the back of the transmission or something right there. Get unbolt. Alright, so I got the new pipe all bolted up in there. 2 bolts, 2 hoses, 1 12mm bolt right there. Just kind of goes through the space plate between the engine and the transmission back through into the end of the line. It's got a nut on it. So got that all done. So So now we're gonna slap the intake back in there. There is one hose right here that I didn't see when I pulled it out, but it's another PVC top vent hose going over to the PVC valve. It's gonna be kind of tricky, but make sure it's plugged in after you get the intake in. And alrighty. Alright, so I got the intake bolted back up, put the throttle body back on, plug my two hoses back in right here, my wire here, that wire there, and I'm putting the bolts in down here underneath the fender right now. And you can see that extension I got going to the bolts I'm talking about. Then there's another hole over here behind the starter. But yeah, I'm getting her together. So let me get that tightened up. So here I got my transmission dipstick. I'm gonna put it back down in that hole, way down there where it goes, and get it twisted back in. I got two 12mm bolts, one in the intake, one in the engine down there. Put them back in, and they're right here. And you can get to them under this fender as well. So like the hole's right up there. So I'll get them put in. So I got them bolts in, got the dipstick reinstalled. So now I'm gonna put on my vacuum line for my brake booster, my vent line for my fuel tank, and then I got my first fuel line goes right there, and the other fuel line that goes there. And don't forget to put your safety clips back on, and probably make sure which one's which, if they are different size. I think now plug that on there, put that one back over here and plug it on. So it's yellow to the back one, green to the front one. Now you can mark these if you take them off, and then just snap these little orange pieces back up on them. They're just extra safety so the line can't come off even if it come loose, and then put them back in this little plastic holder. So that should be all the lines and the wires. Now we do have this bracket here. Put it back on. Have this 10mm bolt in it. And there we go. Right there. Tighten it up, and then you should be ready to put the stuff on top. Alright, so I got everything reinstalled on top. This, that, these little bolts right here, that vent line on the back, and now we're going to top it off with some 100% antifreeze, full strength, and top it off with water, as we did drain some out of the cooling system.